They give you direction, and direction is extremely important when you are looking at Japanese bunka embroidery. It can make or break the picture. So you can see how I have extended the arrows right up to the top of the mountain. When the stitcher is working their picture, they will come right up to this line when they're using their color down here, the 164, so that they know the direction that they should be stitching. And as you know, this is going to be wedge stitched in here. Right here, you can see that we have blending lines. If you follow these blending lines, because you're going to have two different colors right here, and they're blended into each other, when you have zigzag lines like that, you know to blend your colors. This is our finished sampler number 1, the mountain scene, and you can see how the lines have a direction to them going straight up to the cap of the mountain. We are now going to focus on our floral samplers. Now these are beautiful pictures that are our level 2. We will be showing you some of the many stitches that you will learn by stitching these samplers. We just saw on the mountain scene how important direction is, and by using arrows you can create the direction that is necessary for your work of art. So on this orchid in the second level sampler, you can see that we have arrows that continue out so that the stitching of the petal is beautifully done, because it does make a difference if your direction is done correctly. What we're going to be doing next is looking at symbols. So this little arrow right here just means that you line pad on the outside and then stitch a satin stitch. This one means that you have one color padding. It looks like a number sign with one of the bars missing. So when you see the one bar, it means that's the direction that your stitching should go for the underneath padding. Then the lines above show you the direction that should be stitched on the under padding, so you stitch that over top. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be line padding all the way around the area that we're focusing on. Okay, and then we'll pull the thread through. Okay, and then what you can do this as you're stitching, or you can do it afterwards to make it nice and smooth so you're scratching underneath. Now what we want to do is we're going to use the same direction as the arrow to stitch over the line padding that we just put in. So you're doing a satin stitch, you're going from one side to the other over top of the line padding, following the same direction as we have for the arrow. So you see how this line underneath is going straight up and down. So that's what we want to do, is do some stitching underneath. So what you're doing is you're doing a base for the over stitching. We're going to be taking the satin stitch again and going over top of the one color padding that we just put in. Okay, you will notice how it is a lot thicker than the one we put in with just line padding. An orchid has a beautiful frill around it. So what I'm going to do is show you the frill stitch, which is a variation of the picot stitch. You're going into the canvas, you're pulling up about 1/2 inch, and then you're coming back at about 1/4 inch, and then just leaving your thread in there. Then you're coming up, going on to the other side, pulling up, pressing into the canvas again, coming back, And if you go from side to side, it gives the frill a little more interest in its texture and its appeal as a flower. And some people like it long, some people you can always shorten it. There's so many things you can do with this stitch. I want to show you how you end it. You're going to have to put your needle in the loop so that you can pull the tail down, because you don't want to lose your loop. This is our level 2 sampler, the orchid, and you can see that the direction of the stitching is followed right here. We have the line padding plus the satin stitch, plus we have the one color padding, and then we have the frill stitch around the outside of the orchid. Petal separation or voiding is one of the techniques used with flowers, especially something like a peony or a rose. So right here I have done some stitching, but you can probably see the line that is left in between. So you know when we did line padding, it's almost like an outline, but it's when you let the canvas show. First thing we're going to do is take the thread and line pad the top part. So when you're line padding, remember you're using very, very tiny stitches, about 1/16 of an inch long. Didn't quite catch that one. There we go. That's the beauty of Bunka embroidery. If you make a mistake, it's so easy to take out. So we've done the line padding, because what I'm going to do is use the darker thread right here, and you can see that you have blending lines. But what we need to do is we need to make sure that we are leaving this little space, which is our petal separation. So I'm just pulling the thread through and stitching over the line. And when we're finished, we should have a petal separation. You'll notice I'm also doing a little bit of wedging, which is used when you are changing direction. And there's your petal separation. So in the area with the lines across it, they're actually going up and down, we're going to be stitching horizontally rather than vertically. Just regular stitching, just filling in the area. So then what we're going to do is we're going to add little stamens into the flower by punching through from the back with the reverse stitch. And what you can do, if you want to make sure they stay in and don't come out on you, as the needle goes in, just put your finger over top of it. And then what you would do when you were finished is you would cut on the back. Now we have the peony almost completed. You can see that we have the petal separation or voiding, and we do have some rollovers right in here, but they're awfully light. So what I want to do is I want to show you a rollover in a darker color. We will be straight stitching up and down, same direction as the one line of your one color padding. And this is to give dimension to your flower.